Welcome back to A Brit in Poland. In our previous episode, we went to Szczechanowiec, a lovely quaint town in southern Podlasie. So if you haven't seen that video, I sincerely recommend you check it out if you want to understand this area a bit better. But in today's video, we're going to go a little bit further afield and show you a few sites that are well worth the visit in this area, and I think offer something pretty unique for Poland. So we're going to talk a bit about the Bug River, or Bug River, which is lovely. We're going to go to this wonderful old town called Drohiczyn. We're going to take you around a monastery in Grabarka. And finally, we're going to go to Koryciny, to this amazing herbal resort in the area. Dzień dobry. Welcome to A Brit in Poland. This channel has a number of missions. The main one, to create a video for every place on this list. Though I could use your help. The help could be in a number of forms. You could like my video, you could subscribe to my channel, you could follow me on Facebook or Instagram, or you could donate to my Patronite account. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoy the video. So as a reminder, we are over in Podlasie, which is not too far east from Warsaw. I was lucky enough to have a friend who was driving, thank you Mateusz. And when we got there, we stayed in Szczechanowiec and we did a little bit of a tour of the surrounding area to some key spots. So we're basically on the road pretty much constantly during this video, and you would need a car to make these journeys. I really don't think public transport will help. We'll start with the Bug River, which is 774 kilometers long in total, running along the Belarus-Ukrainian borders also. It's a pretty extensive and very natural river. It's the fourth longest river in Poland, actually. And in history, it's actually served as a dividing line, and it's kind of unofficially a split between East and West Poland, or the kind of Orthodox and Catholic churches. And it really hasn't been touched over history. The course of it has been pretty much the same. This view is from Drohiczyn, our first stopping point. And this is a city that has changed hands between Poland and Lithuania, and a few other countries over the years. And it was actually the capital of Podlasie from about 1520. The hill we're on now is the former stronghold of Góra Zamkowa, and it was where a fortified castle was situated, until the Swedish deluge, that is. And yes, this city has been burned down a few times, like many in Poland, first in the Swedish deluge in 1657, then by Transylvanian troops, and then the Muscovite army, all in all causing a loss of 68% of the population. And then the kind of, shall we say, the well-being of the area went up and down over the years. And in the 18th century, we started to see a lot of religious development. So we have the Church of the Assumption of the Blessed Mary, which was constructed in 1762. And actually you find no less than sort of 3 churches visible from the main square in this place. So all featuring these wonderful interiors when you can get inside. So it's a very picturesque, quite holy place, you would say. And you wouldn't stop that long in the city, but it's nice. This is the Church of St. Nicholas, built in 1792 in the classicist style. And the most important structure is the Cathedral of Holy Trinity, founded in 1392 by Władysław Jagiello, who was a king at the time. And in 1657, it was taken over by the Jesuit order who built the church existing today. It was destroyed in World War One, and I think again in World War Two, and rebuilt during those periods. And the complex itself contains a Jesuit monastery, which is now home to a bishop, and a Jesuit college as well. And we found this underground kind of shrine. I'm guessing it's shrine. There were some definite burials here. And I do like to explore these kind of mysterious tombs, almost. You keep hoping to find that one brick that opens a secret doorway. No, we weren't poking around at bricks there. We're not causing destruction, but it was a lovely little surprise as part of this complex. And a very random little site, considering we couldn't get inside the main cathedral on the day. So we wanted to see what we could. And I think this is where the bishop lives for the region. And I have to say, this as a complex, it was pretty big, pretty fun to walk around. We had the little bell tower at the top. But we didn't spend too long in Drohiczyn. It's a nice place to stop over, but you probably wouldn't stay here. So the next place on our tour was a little bit of a drive away, and we went to a place called Grabarka. It's kind of, again, in the middle of nowhere, so maybe not the easiest place to get to unless you've got a car. And here, actually, the early history of this place has been lost, according to the internet, anyway. It's been a site of holy pilgrimages for centuries, and the stories go back to 1710, when a cholera epidemic was spreading across Podlasie. An old man's dream leads him and his cartel to the holy mountain, and then people basically took their crosses there, they drank water from the spring, and around 10,000 people were saved from cholera. They built a wooden chapel, which was later burnt down and replaced in 1998, and people still come here to leave their crosses, under which they hide like personal worries, sorrows, and joys. So it's a place that's pretty popular to visit, I have to say. And I was kind of amazed. I've never seen anything like this in any of the churches, any of the sites I've visited before. So that's why I've covered quite a lot of videos, because I think you really have to kind of soak in just how many crosses have been laid down here. And outside of this area is actually a well. And I guess this is hinting to the spring that the people drank from when they first came here. But when we got there, there was basically a camper van that showed up and was filling bottle after bottle of water from this well. We don't know whether they were planning to sell it on afterwards or what exactly, but they were certainly helping themselves a big treat. So we continue on the roads. And in Podlasie, it's a bit more rural, hence the cows you see, which formed one of the barriers during our journey. But on the whole, we were mostly, blessed with picturesque villages, wonderful fields, nice views of the river. It really is a beautiful area to go and drive and fun to explore. But our final place on our tour is a little village called Koryciny. And in this village, we have this area, Ziołowy Zakątek. And I was kind of sold that this was like a kind of a herbalist's, let's say a herbalist's dream. When you get there, you have these wonderful kind of old wooden buildings. I say old, but I haven't been able to find out online exactly when this place was built. It seems to maybe even be not necessarily that old, maybe kind of late 90s, early zeros kind of time. But one of the main things you see in the original complex by the car parks is this kind of farmland zoo. So you have all kinds of different cows, yaks, sheep, all kinds of ducks, all these different animals, basically. So that it's like a nice, fun place, you could say, for the children. very kind of family atmosphere, and a really relaxing place to come out and just spend a few hours. There was, places to do pottery here. There were some like cafes, bars. You could get a drink, get some Polish food, and there were quite a few shops as well, selling like herbal teas or different herbs and remedies for all kinds of things. So herbal drinks, everything you can think of based on herbs that is legal, you would find in these little shops. So that was quite nice. And you get the whole classic kind of rustic village vibe the whole time you're going through here. And this is the area where it's kind of, let's say, populated, where you have buildings. As you kind of enter the main, shall we say, grounds, that's when you feel that your journey really begins. So you have nice little streams. Some of them a bit artificial, but nonetheless, pretty on the landscape. And all in all, it was a pretty cheap day out. I can't remember because my friend Piotr paid for the entrance fees, from what I remember when we got here. But I don't think it was more than, say, 15, 20 zloty or so each to basically just wander around the main grounds, which we're just getting to now. This is the main entrance. And the first thing you see, beautiful flowers everywhere, of course. And there's this little kind of hothouse where you get some of the more tropical plants, a few cacti, and it was just random little quiet place, but it just shows the variety. You get all these wonderful little kind of gardens, these little enclosed gardens, little monuments dotted around everywhere. And it's really a good place to just kind of get lost for a few hours. You can just walk around these trails. This is an old machine for making bimber. Sadly, I don't think it's still in use now, and I didn't see any bimber for sale when I was there. If I missed it, please let me know. And they had these, small museums dotted around. This one was talking to you about some of the local herbs and some of the practices. Of course, all in Polish, pretty much. So, when you get poor English tourists like me going around, you don't perhaps get the full experience. But really, I would say this place is more about relaxing in the nature, taking in the scenery, especially if you were blessed with the kind of sunny day that we had when we went there. You have this old 17th century wooden church, which has also been reconstructed, surrounded by a biblical herb garden. You see a few of these kind of wooden churches dotted around this sort of site. And you get herbs everywhere. This goes without saying. In fact, this place also contains like a herbal spa that you can sign up to. There's also accommodation with about 150 unique accommodation places. So I think it's a place that's quite often used for retreats, maybe herbalist conventions, maybe just people looking to have a bit of cleansing. Here's the interior of some of the cottages that we found kind of dotted around, hidden in the herb gardens. And it really is that kind of blast from the past, really scenic, really relaxing place to be. And I have to admit, it was so much fun to just walk around and explore. You have all these different paths, these wooded areas, these little gardens everywhere. And you're spending the whole time just, oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? And, you're surrounded by beautiful smells, of course, from all the different herbs in the air. Lots of butterflies, a few bees and wasps if you're a little bit worried about that kind of thing. But you can't really avoid the bugs in the summer. There was a random stone circle here. There wasn't really any history ascribed to it, and it's probably not that old. But still, nice little random thing. I think this was like a Jewish grave marker. Yeah, so you have these little indentations of history dotted around as well. But really, This place, I'd say, is less focused on historical teaching, more on herbal teaching. And yeah, this is one of the random places that was available for accommodation, what looked like a very large tree trunk. But it was a great day out, I have to say. Good for families, good if you just like a walk, lovely for nature. Old windmill, which I didn't find any information about. But this place, I believe, as well as selling herbs on the premises, they're also exporting herbs a lot over Poland as well. So this is one of the main centres in Poland where you will find herbs. And there's a big kind of, let's say, herbal culture in this country, especially for remedies. They're very traditional in a lot of the remedies they use, especially during the cold season. And what I loved about this place is just the little ecosystems, the little surprise places dotted around everywhere. So I really think it's a wonderful place to visit. So I hope you've enjoyed this little tour of southern Podlasie. Definitely a region I'd like to come back to and see more of. So stay in touch, more videos to come, more of Poland to explore. Do zobaczenia.